Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Zelda Speedruns. Tonight we have a round 2 race in the Dark World, group of the Link to the Past NMG League between Relkin and Benteezy. Joined on comms tonight by Chex Human and Clearmouse. How are you two doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Hoping everyone's staying cool tonight in this heat wave that seems to be global in this case. But we get some nice NMG. Chex, how you doing?
What was it, like 1400 degrees for you today or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I will hand it over to you two, and we will get this race underway here shortly.
Yeah, sounds great. You excited tonight for this race? We've got some pretty big names here in the Dark World Division, Chex.
That's right, Clearmouse. We've got Relkin on the left and Benteezy on the right. Benteezy is a longtime NMG Link to the Past and randomizer runner. Relkin also has been playing a while, but is a more recent NMG leaderboard participant, let's say. And both are great runners. Both are really close in personal best times, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And in fact, at least according to Speedrun.com, it is a 21-second difference in PB. So certainly going to be a very tight and exciting race. Relkin actually has a 1:25.16. Very, very impressive time. Certainly very, low 125. Ben, of course, actually has broken the 125 barrier. He has a 1:24.55. So certainly among the very few that actually has a 1:24 time. But again, only 21 seconds difference separating these guys. So I'm certainly expecting this to be a very competitive race.
Ben has the auspicious place of 24th place with a 1:24.
Oh yeah, actually that's true. How about that?
It'll probably 24th place will most likely be a 1:24 for a long time.
Yeah,
runners of this game are getting so much better.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, it wasn't even that long ago when I think we only even had the number of 123 runners we had was maybe just even like the 5 or fewer people, something like that. And then, I don't really know if anyone really kind of expected, we're not quite at the 10 yet, but we certainly have definitely a couple of additions to the 123 group, which was actually somewhat not even kind of fathomable at times, right? Because you just think oh man, 123 is absolutely untouchable. But as you said, as people kind of keep going and getting better, these these times, people are just gonna basically just keep trimming their times down for PBs.
That's right. And there's still time in 2022 for the top 22 to have 122s.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Ari, of course, currently the number one on the leaderboard with a 123 flat. And, certainly he did a lot of good things. A lot of good things also went for him, but I think it looks like it's certainly very possible in order to get a 122. Oh, looks like though we are getting here underway very shortly. Looks like we're actually just kind of hashing out through the file names in this case. Honored tradition, of course, between NMG runners, especially for races, is to get each other file names. Looks like though we've got somewhat more of a jumbled Benteezy on Ben's side. Looks like Relkin is just deliberating, or at least Ben is deliberating Relkin's file name here. Right. And so we can actually take this opportunity to maybe give you a little bit more information about the NMG League. This is actually a 4-week Swiss operation. So there are going to be 2 divisions. As Cubs mentioned earlier, this is the Dark World division. Basically, 32 people are ranked within by their PBs, and Dark World is going to be actually the top 16. Relkin and Benteezy actually both ended up taking a slight loss in the first week. So this is actually because of Swiss. This is going to be a week 2 0-1 matchup. But for what it's worth, if you're in the Dark World division, it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. Every single competitor is going to just be super, super difficult. Should also be, of course, a very, very competitive and very entertaining race for us.
For sure, for sure.
All right, looks like we've got also some file names here on relkin side. Is this Be Rel Smart? Be Real Smart? Be relkin Smart?
The Benteezy
I think
mix-up.
yes. All right, we are underway. It looks like actually we are off. Starting out with the probably most commonly seen split in all of like the past speedrunning or gameplay otherwise. We are on the escape sequence. May or may not always see the text boxes, but this is where we begin our journey. And roughly, hopefully, right around like the 124, 125 mark. And of course, for those of you who may have dabbled somewhat, let's say, in the randomizer, sometimes it could be a little bit difficult to kind of go back and forth between the vanilla, Japanese 1.0 game original versus the randomizer. But fight your instincts. Make sure you do not pick up the first chest. It is a lamp, but there is a much faster lamp that we can get when we're down in Zelda Cell.
And please skip the second chest and the third chest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But unfortunately, we can't skip, what our uncle gives us, and actually, especially a difference somewhat to the randomizer. This is 2 items at once. Our uncle was nice enough in order to give us both a sword and a shield. One is significantly more useful than the other. I will let you guess as to which one you think is going to be more useful, as we already see some slashes. But unfortunately, we got some amount of early aggro actually on both sides, taking just kind of like early nick by that green guard.
Yeah, interesting to see. It's a subtle thing, but in Escape, the first segment, we are mostly looking at movements. We are looking to see whether runners will take damage. Avoiding damage is really the main time to have a good escape.
Yeah, right. And right, as kind of part of your, like when you're talking about good movement, good execution, right? It's somewhat, you actually want this in this case to be, uninterrupted, right? So whenever in this case, take a little bit of damage, not only is it kind of like knocking you off of what you kind of originally planned on doing, it also in this case potentially could, damage boost you into, different directions, kind of have to like let yourself readjust, right? So anything that's really not on your path is going to kind of like nickel and dime your time away from you. Or maybe not necessarily nickel and dime, could be like half penny and penny type of thing. This is only light world. Our taxes aren't that high here. Yeah, so in this case, as we see Relkin and Benteezy picking up, in this case, the boomerang, one of the earliest, of course, in the boomerang chest. Something that's actually, quite useful. It can actually, fetch items from afar. Certainly going to be quite convenient, but it also actually does save a couple of frames in order to actually be able to even activate the boomerang when you want to stun something or kill something. As we're seeing in this case, Relkin and Ben both using the boomerang in this case and actually pick up the key as opposed to, actually walking towards the key and kind of letting it drop in your lap.
And that's an important point about why we want to avoid picking up the lamp from the first chest, because we want the boomerang to autofill our item menu.
Oh yeah. That's actually very true. Some very, very subtle optimizations, but actually very powerful in terms of actually just saving time with the menu and the Y button. And of course, this being the original game, maybe those of you who might have seen some more of the randomizer, the ability to be able to quick swap using LR buttons is strictly a randomizer thing. If you actually want to be able to change Y items, you will actually have to open up the menu and then, kind of use your D-pad in order to, get to the next thing, right? But as you just mentioned, Chex, if we don't have the lamp and the boomerang is the first thing that we pick up, it is actually a quote-unquote free menu because it just appears automatically.
Yeah, and we can it's like we normally do need to use the start button, like you said. We can, toward the end of the run, switch from bombs to fire rod, or something along those lines. But this kind of technique is not used too much in this run.
All right. Looks like though, I was going to say, like, especially runners of relkin and Ben's caliber, certainly very expected to kind of see like the ace slash on the quote unquote hardest boss, where of basically escape, or arguably the entire game, is
Thank you
that's
for
probably
quoting
arguably
me.
yes. Yeah, this is going to be actually probably the fastest way in order to take down the boss. Also, potentially in this case, the most dangerous. In this case, both Relkin and Ben did not take any damage, but that ball and chain guard does do one whole heart, so one has to be a bit careful. As we're kind of seeing in this case, we're out of the quote unquote like danger phase, in terms of just getting bulldozed by an enemy or two, but of course you can kind of see Relkin unfortunately getting some bad, rope RNG, kind of having to unfortunately take a bump, and then he also was bumped backwards, right? So just an additional amount of time basically that he's losing.
Yeah, snakes are slightly more dangerous than mice. Snakes deal snakes deal half heart of damage, and bats and rats deal a quarter heart of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And our heart meter shows increments only of 1/2. So if things get a little dangerous, our runners want to be sure they know how much health they have.
This actually has happened. No bad memories, of course, on Relkin's side. Maybe had a little earlier mishap and escape. Not actually sure if he got rat frames. It actually does not look like it, even though he ended up kind of getting hits from the rats.
It was close,
so,
yeah. It was almost there.
Mm-hmm. Right, and just kind of important note. So actually, the plus side is just only for escape. If you happen to have low health and you hear the heart beeps, you can actually speed up this text box. At least the scrolling speed of it, just by a little bit. Same thing with RAF frames. You get the the slight RNG correctly or and manipulated. But it looks like actually with Ben, famously, of course, even last week along with Fricker, I believe those two were the only ones who actually decided to skip Snake Heart.
All right, let's go. So we're in a difficult overworld right now, the Eastern overworld. It can go wrong. I mean, it's not difficult often because it's known as a just hold down screen, but it can go wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just holding down is a little bit dangerous, especially with all of the Octoroks. Right, the safety that Relkin ended up picking up, over Ben, famously, of course, known as the Sank Heart, gives you an extra heart container, and especially if you're only on, in this case, 3 hearts. That 4th heart can actually make quite a bit of difference, especially when, in this case, the enemy damages. For the most part, ends up actually hurting you at 1 heart a hit. So in order to be able to tank an extra heart or extra hit or 2, certainly could be very useful, especially towards the end of Eastern Palace, where pretty much everything does 1 heart of damage regardless of armor. And you really want to be able to get up close and personal with some of these Igors just in order to save extra couple frames in order to try and kill them quickly.
And we are approaching the skeleton room. We quickly can dispatch the invisible skeletons not yet spawned. Both runners do a good job. Relkin grabs a small decanter of magic to save on refill frames later. Mm-hmm. And it is, if I remember correctly, something like 16 frames to recover in the refill period, but it takes 14 frames to throw a boomerang. So this technique can save 2 frames, something along those lines.
That's awesome. Hey, we're gonna need every frame we can get in this case to actually get a good time here. And I know that yeah, it is, and it's people, especially if you look at like Light World stuff. People say like, well, runs remain in the Dark World, Light World, pretty much it doesn't matter. All these little things in Light World though, escape time, frame here, frame there, they actually can do do add up.
Pretty solid.
That was actually really interesting.
Skip.
Yeah, that was really interesting boomerang too. I've never actually seen like the boomerang be able to go in that type of directional area in order to stun the Popo. So nice job on Relkin's side there.
Yeah, we are seeing some pretty advanced strats from Ben already, with a diagonal boomerang throw to capture a small key, and we are seeing good use of manual stair drag cancel, which we can talk about a little bit later. We'll see that more often in the overworld.
Yeah.
But anyway, our runners are going deeper into Eastern Palace.
Yeah, it actually did
again,
look like-
it's pretty dangerous, like you mentioned before.
Yeah, no, in fact, right, actually, so when, in this case, Ben and Relkin were trying to get that small key from the Green Igor, the Popos actually, at least, get a little bit of up close and personal on Ben's side, almost blocked his arrow shot, and of course, these guys do, 1 heart of damage. Looks like, though, Ben is actually going to pick up, unfortunately, he didn't really get any drops, so he actually takes a little bit of extra time in order to try and get himself some extra arrows. Relkin, though, has the incremental lead at this point, was a bit more fortunate with his prize pack drops. So it's going to be the first, in this case, to take down Armos, claim the green pendant. A nice fight on both sides. Of course, we are just seconds away from getting our boots. Best item in the game.
Right. And then we can go fast. That's
right. Finally. I mean, we've got really great movement, clean execution, on for the first 11 minutes or so. But this speed run, it isn't really much of a speed run unless we can actually go fast with dashing, moving, be able to 4 pixels per second. And of course, this being the exclusive Japanese 1.0 version, these boots, not only, of course, are we going to be able to dash, we are going to be able to take advantage of a couple of minor glitches exclusive to this version. One of the primary reasons, in addition to, the text boxes being a little bit shorter, is going to be, a pretty significant time save, as Relkin and Ben are going to demonstrate here very shortly.
Yeah, as smooth as can be spin speed from Relkin, Ben takes a bit of an extra attempt.
Yeah, and we're kind of actually watching initially, even when, Relkin dashed out of Sahasrala's, hut, he kind of had to charge up a little bit before he kind of was able to make his way up the stairs, but, with spin speed, we can basically just bypass, the entire charging animation, which is, 30 frames, and then just be able to also change direction as well. So in this case, we basically get to go travel the entire screen, basically just for free.
Interesting, Relkin did not go for the unholy spin speed on the library screen. Benteezy goes for it, but has to retry. Oh no!
Yeah, that's unfortunately, time. But yeah, but he ended up making it into library actually pretty smoothly. Sometimes, especially if you're maybe just trying out, working on spin speed before. Entering the library actually can be a little bit more violent or jarring depending on how precise you are, so it's actually really cool to be able to see basically no screen shaking, and Ben just made it through the library very cleanly. Actually, it looks like Relkin was trying to get a spin speed out of library, but unfortunately didn't quite succeed the first time, and good on him to recognize that if you don't end up succeeding, it's probably actually not going to be worth your time to retry the spin speed, just start dashing.
I agree. And Benteezy took a surprising hit from my archer guard. That guy's annoying, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. A very unassuming guard.
Yeah, it's like we don't like tall grass. We don't like any of these projectiles. We just really want to we just want to run, right? Why stop us? In terms of health, probably not going to be too big of a deal. I would say the only reason why I mention it is, just because sometimes you could be, a little bit maybe surprised if you're suddenly on low health going to land modes. And of course, Ben absolutely knows what he's doing. He is only, of course, on, in this case, 3.5 effective hearts.
Yeah. Our runners won't be scared of taking a death here, but I do remember when starting the speedrun, it's a dangerous boss.
Yes. Not only, yeah, I was
everything's
gonna say,
dangerous in this game, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and I guess this is actually, I would consider actually this to be, pretty good design, right? So actually, we're kind of seeing, Relkin and Ben, demonstrate probably the intended use of the boost, not necessarily with spin speed. We've got all these, really long, nice hallways, right, to be able to, really showcase the power of the boots. Actually, just in case of also safety, right? Of course, we don't actually really see it here in the speed run. you can actually get yourself a good amount of like safeties, bottles, heart containers, heart pieces, all around Kakariko, the overworld. But if you, in this case, you want to go fast, care actually about the extra health and safety, you're definitely free to, which probably makes in this case a little bit more dangerous. Yes, actually, so Relkin in the first mini circle of pots, maybe not just like a circle, it's more of a diamond. He is actually reminding us that both he and Ben have actually not really gotten very much money in terms of drops. Not too big of a concern right now, but they will eventually need to farm up a couple of extra rupees to kind of get themselves over that 110 mark.
That's right. Both have basically Relkin has 7 rupees, Benteezy has 6. Both of them needed that circle of pots rupee.
Yeah, both of them also doing a, I would say, high risk, a lower reward spin speed out of Desert, out of Desert 1 into the back of Desert 2. It does, of course, save some time. Oh man, Relkin getting a really nice red rupee drop from the Popos. Hopefully Ben's gonna have a kind of similar luck in this case. Oh my god, there are no drops. Oh, poor Ben. Yeah, but in this case, like the spin speed out of Desert, while it does let you go a little bit faster, if you cannot control the speed, and then you end up kind of popping off, I hope you like the front of Desert and be able to showcase those boosts again, because that's what you're exactly gonna do.
Yeah, all right. So here comes the Landmo fight for Relkin and Ben.
Yeah, as you said, Chex, actually pretty dangerous from the get-go, but also an extremely difficult boss, especially, for actually if you want to try and kill this boss as fast as possible. Alright, looks like pretty reasonable first cycles, but the first cycle is somewhat fixed. You actually see both Ben and Relkin trying to kind of set up themselves or try and get as many arrows as they can, but everything after the first cycle is just going to be reaction, and you can actually see, man, some of these patterns for the Landmos is just so many short hops. Ben all of a sudden is kind of down to 1 heart, just needs to be a little bit careful before he lands this last arrow in.
Yeah, that was a struggle for both runners. It looked to be a 6 cycle for each of them. And yeah, we did see Benteezy down to 1 heart, but just dealing with the last one was all he needed at the end.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah. So we certainly would like to have fewer Landmo cycles. It is partially RNG, partially kind of how you react. But at the same time, if both runners end up getting a 6 cycle and it's even, let's just call it a day and move on.
And enjoy a close race.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I guess for what it's worth, unlike, of course, most, in this case, like randomizer races, or most races in general, you are, in this case, allowed to watch your opponent, you're allowed to watch the restream, so I don't actually know if Relkin or Ben are interested in watching, in this case, anything that's kind of going on between their opponent, but at least if they do, they kind of recognize, in this case, that, it is still pretty even. Oh my gosh, Ben! Alright, it's all good? You made it safely into the portal.
Yeah, that's a dangerous screen in the sense that you can disqualify yourself. In a tourney race, however, it would be acceptable to take a hit, save and quit, and keep going.
Yeah, right.
Regardless, both made it through.
Yes, very, very true. Yeah, and of course, for normal, PvP attempts, or anything like that, or RTA, you are, in this case, not allowed to save and quit. It is a no save and quit run.
That's right.
Yeah,
and welcome. And thanks for the raid, Fear Agent. Welcome everyone from Fear's stream. We are watching an any percent NMG no save and quit race between Relkin and Benteezy in the NMG League.
This is Dark World Division Week 2. Both in this case, Relkin and Ben unfortunately had to take a slight mishap and was not the victor in their previous races, but certainly looking to claim a victory here. And yes, you're absolutely correct in that we had the one opportunity or possibility where we potentially needed to save and quit, but after the fake flipper, in this case, at least for that one, that's probably the most dangerous one. Is we're gonna be good. All right, so speaking of potentially dangerous parts, Ben almost not mirroring in time in order to avoid some large talk from the pink ball. We do not want to talk to that guy.
In fairness, it's not as bad in the original game as it is
Okay,
in
all right,
randomizer.
that's true. That is true. I guess I don't know. I don't know if this is like a rumor or anything, but maybe in this case, the random devs made it extra punishing.
For sure. All right, so it's time for Tile Room, and Relkin is using a sword poke strat. Benteezy's got the blue boom, and so is going for an optimal strat here. And he gets a diagonal boom dash, which is simply 4 frame perfect inputs.
Oh, simply? Only 4?
Works.
Oh my gosh.
It works for him to stand on the pegs and have the switch in the right place, and gives him a nice break as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, after the 4 input frame perfect inputs, I think Ben very much deserves a break. Yeah, has been certainly showing off quite nicely with all the skills for that he knows with the boomerang. I gets a little bit bullied here by the Stalfos throwing the bones, but otherwise makes it out of Hera basement. One, of course, more or less thing to note, not necessarily to worry about, but Ben is on only 2 hearts. Certainly should be still okay, but this is probably kind of like the lowest threshold in which you probably feel comfortable. All right, yeah, looks like Ben's actually going to take the time to to take a heart, even probably in this case worth picking up, despite just basically waiting a couple seconds.
All right, time for Hera bomb jump. Relkin goes with a sword spin strat. Let's see what Benteezy has in store. Early bomb jump.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, a
well
little bit faster. Yes, and of course, we don't necessarily expect any mishaps to happen for Relkin and Ben for the air in order to bomb jump over to the big chest. But if you do so happen to try this at home and are not successful, you can fall in this case 2 floors, and it is quite a hefty time loss. Relkin in here against Molder, 1.5 hearts. Probably he's gonna be fine, but it's always gonna be nice to have a little bit of a buffer just in case you take an extra hit and don't get knocked off. Very nicely handled on Relkin's side.
Yeah, a pretty short charge phase, and for Ben too.
Yeah,
a very short charge phase. Rage phase, that is.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like in this case, Landmos was actually, quite the bullies, taking them on, basically giving them each a 6 cycle. But it looks like actually Molder was quite cooperative.
Yeah, and our runners didn't get bad frame rules or anything because they charged vertically at the end, both Moldorm and Link. So Link won on both sides, which is good.
Yeah, getting frame ruled, getting lottoed, or getting lotteried is something you really just can't control much, and you just kind of hope in this case that you're on the better side of fortune. Relkin, of course, with that really nice red rupee drop, you actually see in this case is where we're going to claim the rest of our money that literally grows on trees. Because he was able to get some fortunate money from Popo earlier, he could actually skip a couple of these blue rupees. Ben, unfortunately, oh man, that buzz blob, he read Benteezy's attack patterns and just was able to strafe right out of the way. Unfortunately, had to in this case take off the arrow.
We've got a push guard. It looked like Ben slashed him away without taking damage. Very nice. That is so scary.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you know, and as part of being able to actually, you know, harvest the money that does grow on trees, we unfortunately cannot get hit between when we end up pulling the tree, you know, from, in this case, like the outside, and within Lost Woods, basically. So that's actually why it's very, very dangerous, and we definitely do not want to. We definitely don't want to take any damage. Relkin is up. Almost out of the clear, as is Benteezy. We've got a couple more bushes to go. No, Relkin. Never mind.
Yeah, that was rotten luck.
That was, yeah. So unfortunately, sometimes guards just hide on the bush, and they actually see in this case because you know Relkin ended up getting hit. Unfortunately, we had to reset the kill counter on Relkin's side. That's why when he pulled the tree again, he only got blue rupees. So what Relkin's gonna do is he is going to do like the backup strat, going to basically kill 4 more enemies after pulling that tree, and then being able to get the tree pull right outside the castle.
Right, and so Benteezy's also not in the clear with only 101 rupees. 6 of them will be for free, but he'll still have to collect another 5. Relkin needs another backup, unfortunately.
Yes,
so,
because that's very unfortunate because he ended up getting hit. So I guess you know, like it's okay. There are tree pulls, I guess, right outside the pyramid. If you end up taking no damage. In Aga Tower, which you know has been done before. Worst case, of course, there are going to be in this case we have the mirror, and then when we end up going to the Palace of Darkness, we can end up getting Saha rupees.
That's right. Yeah, it's really hard to avoid damage in Aga Tower, just because the enemies are so ruthless, and we're confined to retreat or progress, basically, in a dark maze coming up.
Yeah,
so we'll see how that goes.
And of course, right, Relkin, of course, did very well himself in the second room. Being down on a little bit of damage, it means that we don't have Sword Beam, but he was still able to dash kill the guards in this particular case, so he doesn't advance the prize pack. Ben, of course, having a more, I guess, like traditional, like entry into the tower, having beams, was basically able to just kind of like beam the guards once and then just dash kill them. Relkin had to do a little bit more maneuvering. Speaking of, though, on Ben's side, he got a really, you know, the gold ball and chain guards that I guess are the brothers, you know, to like the gray ball and chains guard. They dropped him a really nice red rupee, got a pay raise. So Ben's also, you know, all set to go basically for pod. Oh, it's talking. Although his good fortune kind of ended, looks like he ended up getting frame rolled by that blue guard.
Nice. I didn't know they were brothers.
Or cousins, you know, first cousins once removed, something like that.
Okay, so looks like Relkin has not. Sorry, it looks like Relkin has not taken damage.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say that. It's like, you know, so he got a heart in the dark maze from one of the drops, and so he was kind of able to get himself back to Sword Beam, but I don't think after that, or even before then, he has taken any damage. So this, potentially speaking, if he doesn't take any damage on Aga, knock on wood, he is going to basically get the tree pulls out of the statue pull, I guess, you know, from the pyramid.
Yeah, this is quite an interesting race we have here. Both walking into Aghanim at about the same time. So there may be some difference depending on the RNG of the RNG boss. And then Relkin will lose some time farming rupees. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, and this is as you mentioned, the most RNG heavy, you know, bosses of probably the entire game, certainly of the light world, and we're actually already seeing though a little bit of PRNG. Ben and Relkin, looks like Ben Olesa was 3 for 3 for blue balls. Relkin only got 2, but in this case, right, first phase, every 5 hits in this case. First one's always going to be an energy ball. Next 3 are going to be 50-50 for blue balls and energy balls, and the last one's always going to be lightning cycle. And we hope they're not going to get too many more here. I think Relkin's on 3, Ben's on 4. 4 on Relkin. I think Ben, for the most part, doesn't care too much. He is literally just going through the motions. I don't know if Relkin is, a bit nervous or anything like that. He's done this fight 100 times, if not thousands. Just has to make sure he doesn't end up getting hit. And then we can basically get our nice, money from the pyramid. All right, Relkin's out.
I think that was 4.
Yeah, I think
Unless
you're right.
I
I don't
missed
think
one.
he got any more. No, I
Ben
think you're
is
right.
up
I
to
think it was
6.
4. Mm-hmm. 7. Oh no.
Yeah, so Ben is going to get an extra lightning cycle, and then that should be all. I was surprised Relkin stood vertically and may have taken a blue ball hit, but did not,
Mm-hmm.
which was very good for him if he goes for the statue pull.
Yeah, I mean, and just like that, we're actually gonna get some lesser seen content here on Relkin's side. That's certainly gonna be quite the treat because we don't get to see this too often. And of course, the difference between 4 and 7, or we're just not gonna get any pulls. I guess we're gonna get Saha rupees. Or is there a different tree pull that I'm not familiar with?
Aha, probably. So I'm not totally sure. Either Relkin forgot or I didn't see some damage taken or
Yeah,
something.
it also right. It also could have been maybe we just missed the damage. But it looks like in this case, Relkin's gonna opt to do Saha rupees. Very commonly seen mirror in this particular, especially if maybe you try and in this case like play the randomizer, for example. Try and combine Eastern Pod together. And unfortunately, yeah, not quite exactly. Relkin was maybe like 2 rupees short in this case. And maybe he could have avoided the second chest, but it really doesn't matter. Once you're here, it's not going to be too much more time difference. Relkin also delaying, using the slash tactics, kind of delaying and letting his iframes run out. Sometimes in this case, if you are too fast, Kiki will not active register, and then you will not be able to pick him up.
And Benteezy actually lost Kiki due to getting hit by a Ropa.
Oh no!
So I had to go back.
Good thing he had 20 rupees though to spare.
Yeah, that's fortunate because now he barely had enough. So, to my surprise, Relkin enters Palace of Darkness first, but it's still a pretty close race.
Oh no, yeah, for
Benteezy
sure.
Just a couple of screens behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like in this case, both runners, or both Ben and Relkin, kind of had to deal with a little bit of business, I guess. Like Relkin, for example, having to kind of pick up his extra money, in the back of Sahasrah's hut, and unfortunately, Benteezy kind of had to go chase down a monkey in order to try and get his entry back into Pod.
I like this strat from Benteezy since he had to clear a path and wait for the Bari. He flashed 2 times, and that baited the fireball from the Medusa.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
In the past, I learned to slash and then hold off of the edge, which is a long hop, but that takes more frames to do that. So I like the new strats that we're seeing.
Yeah, again, like Ben is a 124 runner, so certainly very much a long expectations, and big for him to kind of show off his execution. Now, of course, that being said, he is down 2 hearts in this case, partially because, well, he ended up losing Kiki due to, an unfortunate hit. So just has to be a little bit more conscious of his health. He should still be okay after hammering up because there are 3 hearts in the back before you end up going down to the basement and beating Helmasaur. I think that's actually a really nice hammer jump on Relkin's side, right? Because he ended up, I think he ended up doing it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I didn't see how many buffers it was. Benteezy unfortunately took a fall.
Yeah,
So
I wasn't actually sure what his lineup was.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the initial. It's a double pixel perfect trick. So I'm not sure if it was the first pixel or the second.
Mm-hmm.
Where the issue was.
Yeah. So luckily, in this case, the good news is that Ben has not died. He is still, very much within, being able to defeat Palace of Darkness. And looks because in this case, he had to kind of spend an extra bomb on the second hammer yum. He's gonna pick up in this case another bomb in order to make sure that his resources are good. The unfortunate part, though, being on only one heart means that we have 5 more hearts to refill. And fortunately, these 3 are actually not going to be enough to get sword beams. As we kind of saw Relkin use the sword beams, in the back in order to kind of hit, some switches, and especially down here in the basement. Not going to be too big of a deal for Benteezy. Just going to be a little bit of a time loss because he's going to use some arrows. And of course, the red mimic is just so kind in order to drop him a couple, an extra 5 packs. So in terms of resources, I think we're still good to go.
And another thing we saw from Benteezy is a pickup of 2 hearts instead of all the hearts, all 3. And that's because it won't make a difference whether Ben's at 3 or 4.
Exactly, yeah. It looks like in this case, right, coming up, of course, Relkin's already on Helmasaur. One of the reasons, of course, why we pick up Sank Heart is because Relkin going into Helmasaur with 7 hearts, Benteezy going with 3 hearts, is the Helmasaur does 2 hearts of damage, and so that extra 1, right, is going to be able to allow, these guys to take an extra hit. So, right, as you just said, right, the difference between 3 and 4 hearts is absolutely no difference. Relkin. Wow. All right.
Wow. I'm not sure what just happened. Yeah. I thought we got a spin with spin speed because by the way, a lonely turtle on Benteezy's side. But regardless, Relkin ended the fight with slashes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A pixel perfect hammer. Yeah, that's why I thought that. So the hammer hitbox is famously bad, and with activated spin speed, like Benteezy has, armed spin speed, that is, the hammer has the dash hitbox, like the dashing sword hitbox. So landing hits is easy and reasonable.
Yeah.
So that was a fast phase 2 for Ben.
Yeah, and and I guess I don't know what's really considered to be recent, I guess, in terms of NMG tech, but at least spin speed Helma was certainly something that was recently kind of put into place and perfected, and it's certainly Helmasaur before spin speed was certainly arguably one of the most dangerous bosses, just because the first one in the Dark World is just such a run killer because it made things so inconsistent. But in this case, you definitely got a lot more safety.
Yeah, I'd say end of 2019 was when Spin Speed Helmet came out.
Okay, all right. Looks like Fox also something like that. Yeah. So that sounds pretty reasonable. Speaking of though, so Relkin, finish off Helmasaur is onwards into kind of the first real foray into the Dark World overworld. We are to get past a couple of the Ropas. One of them certainly was a big bully to Benteezy, knocking Kiki out. But in this case, it looks like we haven't gotten Lotto certainly yet, so maybe hopefully we're going to be in the clear. We also did see kind of Relkin dash under one of the Ropas. Always looks really cool from a viewer's perspective, but I think as a runner, it's really dangerous because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get hit by this.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point.
And yeah, we kind of also see Benteezy, dashing by the murder tactile. It does 3 hearts of damage. It is actually, you're supposed to look that close. It almost does look like you're gonna get hit, but if you do it correctly, you're actually just gonna barely miss it.
2 digs for Relkin. Let's see if Ben can improve.
Hey, this shovel, we don't have a treasure map or anything, right? How are we supposed to know where we're supposed to dig?
I definitely dug up a quarter of the entire grove when I returned to A Link to the Past.
Oh. Alright, looks like actually, I don't know if we actually mentioned this before, but where Ben is, in this case, mirroring now, I didn't actually quite notice on Relkin's side, but he's actually trying to mirror in a very specific location, such that we can actually achieve a quick warp. It's just based on location, and if you can actually get it, the mirror animation back to the light world happens to be 34 frames faster. That is actually right around half a second. So really cool to be able to see Ben, in this case, get it. All right, also potentially speaking of one of the most important spin speeds of the game, the first one, of course, probably being the one where we initially go up to hair, so we can avoid all of the, cabbages or the boulders and the dead rocks. But in this particular case, if you don't have spin speed armed and gone, is really much worth your time to try and redo it, just because we actually kind of blew past the red guard, which certainly very much can catch up with you if you're not moving fast.
And we are seeing a slash pose from Benteezy, which is very hype.
Nice.
This is Kakariko
Nice.
spin speed. And pretty nice. It looked good to me for saving time. It's very hard to save frames with that technique.
Yeah, also really well done. I think on both Relkin and Ben's side, basically getting through the Three Musketeer screen. Sometimes, it does look like when you're trying to charge up your dash or dash through, like, especially like the last guard, he's all ready to kind of like, frame rule and aggro. But in this case, both runners are getting past unscathed.
Yeah, it's a fun screen. And there's, it's a really long overworld segment, basically. The longest overworld. And there's just so much to it.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just like with almost anything else, you really don't want to get knocked out. Like in this case, we are in the Dark World. Enemies pretty much all do 2 hearts of damage, so damage does end up adding up pretty quickly. But we have in this case a good amount of health, so we could probably tank a couple hits here and there. But it's really just about the time loss, right? Every single time you get hit, you kind of have to readjust, get yourself back on the grid. Wow, really nice lineup there on Relkin's side to be able to also dash through that hallway. Hopefully in this case, Ben's going to have some similar fortune in terms of enemy RNG. You do have to land on the correct pixel in order to make a clean dash up. But even if you happen to land on the right position, the enemies don't always have to be so kind. And, part of this case, like the skill and the experience that both, Relkin and Ben have, right, is to be able to, once something doesn't work, right, is to be able to recover very nicely. But you know what? We don't need to recover. Why recover when we do things right the first time? Really nice job exactly. on Relkin's and Ben's side.
And Relkin's going down to the basement while Benteezy's clearing the attic.
Yeah, Relkin also deciding to actually do the dash stress, but on basically in the prison side. It's actually pretty difficult to do, just because if you ever tried, to basically dash through the thing, you have to basically cancel your dashes pretty closely, because if you actually dash right into the keyhole, you do end up getting a bonk, which is very, very much undesirable.
Yeah, and it's hard to get a clean door entry due to the one tile wide entryway.
Yeah, looks like Ben is shortly rescuing the maiden as well. Looks like he's actually going to go do something similar as well. Yeah, really nicely done. Of course, as Relkin is going to come up to his blind fight. Hopefully this is just going to be a routine fight, just like anything else. So in this case, blind is going to react and do exactly what you do based on your movements. So you can basically effectively manipulate and control blind's movements here. Really nice on Relkin's side. Barely any blind in the attic sun roof in this case. As much as you can get, basically take down blind in the upper left-hand corner, the faster the fight's going to be. So really nice job on Relkin's side.
And even harder, Benteezy pulled off a hammer dash. Pre-blind,
I didn't even. Yeah,
which is difficult to do.
It is so cool though to be able to do like that optimal strat in that room. Very, very difficult. But we kind of saw to see what his abilities are in Hera Basement, right? To be able to do like the diagonal boom dash, and doing some 4 frame perfect input frames. So really cool.
Benteezy took a hit at the 3rd phase, but made it through.
Yeah, and also, credit to Ben. He has not had to use that Sanctuary Heart whatsoever. So, 3 seconds saved. Poor chicken. He unfortunately was in the line of crossfire on Relkin's side,
No.
so unfortunately he had to take a hit.
Yeah, it's time to rescue the frog and return the smith to upgrade our sword to tempered. And tempered sword makes the game a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
If we were playing a different category, we would, like low percent or low percent legacy, we would have to skip the sword. But
That's
we
so sad.
pick it up here and we save time by making the bosses a lot easier and Ganon a lot faster.
Yeah, right. And in this case, it's right. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Trax. Like, so if you end up skipping Temper Sword, like in this category, right? Like, you will actually drop down to Ganon faster, right? But in this case, like, you'll actually, assuming
Optimally,
everything goes correctly, yeah. But then, of course, Master Sword fight on Ganon versus Temper fight is quite a bit of difference, and that's kind of when the Temper Sword overtakes. So
yeah, for sure, we would lose about a minute without the Tempered Sword. Just on Ganon.
Mm-hmm. And of course, right, as you mentioned, right, Temper Sword makes things a lot more consistent, especially for RTA attempts. These are humans playing, so we would like consistency, especially when we're trying to PB and speedruns. Temper Sword makes things a whole heck of a lot faster and more consistent and more reliable. Not quite the Finch dash that Relkin was probably hoping for, but it's actually kind of also demonstrated
an honorable
earlier on.
bonk.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of also like spin speed Helma too, right? That fight, because we ended up having spin speed, we can do tempered sword damage with the hammer, versus Master Sword whatever slashes, right? Or spins for that matter for phase 2. I mean, it's just made things a whole heck of a lot nicer.
All right, Relkin going into one of the worst rooms in the game, the Gibdo room. Here it goes.
Might depend on who you ask. I believe some people, such as Matt, another 124 runner, has coined this the easiest room of the game, and Relkin is absolutely demonstrating, just how easy this statue push pull is.
Wow, that looked really easy.
It's actually not easy, by the way. Relkin handled that room very well. Not only, of course, he was able to, quickly, get the statue on the switch. The Gibdo, unfortunately, had some bad RNG. Was kind of like guarding the door for him. So Relkin also was just kind of able to kind of like dash poke him away in order to basically get the big chest or big key.
Interesting bomb jump for Relkin. It's sort of an in-between early and spin. Really both. An early spin bomb jump, apparently.
Yeah,
I was not familiar with
actually,
that stat.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, right, it's some hybrid combination of an early bomb jump, which, is actually quite difficult in comparison to the Hera early bomb jump, and then also just like a more traditional kind of like bomb jump setup. Also really nice big key room on Ben's side as well, able to kind of manipulate that statue. Ben is probably doing, oh wow. Ben
well
is showing off why he is a 124 runner.
Yeah, that was a nice early bomb jump for Ben, for sure.
Yeah, and part of the reason why the early bomb jump here in Skullwood's not often attempted, just because, again, we want consistency. And in this particular case, it's not going to be as consistent or as nicely set up, just because you don't have, in this case, like a pause buffer as you do in Hera.
Exactly. All right, Mothula fight coming up for Relkin. We're going to hope to see 0 spikes. That's the optimal way to finish the room.
Yeah, but Mothula just refused to come down. Kind of unfortunate there on Relkin's side. But otherwise, last slash was basically able to take him down.
Yeah, an interesting menu buffer for Ben. Switching to mirror before the mummy key room. So Ben read the Moldworm RNG during that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely contrast to what Relkin was doing earlier. Was in this case he used his his menu buffer on the Gibdos. What? You talking about 0 spikes checks? Oh my gosh, that is a 10 out of 10 fight on Benteezy's side. Really, really fast moth.
Perfect fight.
Mm-hmm. I'm not actually even sure if there has been a 10 out of 10 fight so far in the league. At least maybe not. I haven't watched all of the races yet, but I mean, like, it doesn't actually seem that common.
Yeah, it's tough. It's just a combination of getting that double poke, yeah, and good RNG from conveyors and Mothula. All right, onto the Ice Palace segment. Relkin in the overworld. I didn't quite get a glimpse. It looked like he was lined up for a quick warp there.
He did, in fact, get the quick warp, yeah.
Yeah. And we have a sort of, I don't know what you call it. I think of it as a Christos dash. A safe way across before... No. Okay. We got hit by a Ropa.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Right. And you talk about this case like being lottoed. Sometimes you just lose the dice roll in this particular case. And Relkin, unfortunately, in this case, like the Ropa won.
Relkin goes for a bush heart, does not get it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and of course, like one of the reasons, so while health isn't necessarily like the primary concern, for especially at this stage, for our runners, even though we are, oh my gosh, Ben gets hit too. Wow. We actually really much care about sword beams, and that's why we care about primarily full health. Relkin does get a little bit fortunate, getting a heart from the rock. One more heart to go. Hopefully in this case, Ben's going to also have just as good fortune getting a couple. Alright, he's got one heart from the bush. That's always good to see. So Ben's only also in one away. Also doing
nice
quick fish. Yeah, contrary to popular belief, it is actually not a hit circle. As drawn on the screen, it is actually still a hit box. There are a couple of extra pixels where the game still registers that you threw in a bush or something in order to get Quake. Relkin must have gotten hit again, and I must have just missed it because he's only showing actually at a half a heart as well.
Yeah, it was Zora.
Oh no.
So it's such a hard screen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Zora hit for Benteezy too.
Oh no. Alright, so I guess for what it's worth, it's even. Both runners are not looking likely in this case to have full health and sword beams for Ice Palace.
Okay, Relkin got hit by Zora, but it was on the same at the same time he entered a whirlpool, so he makes it in without excess swimming.
Yeah, I guess like the hit even kind of like knocked him forward or up, like from the whirlpool, so he was actually able to enter Ice Palace a little bit faster.
E-boost. I like the menu here for Ben. Yeah, so he switched to Fire Rod. I don't know if that would change his pathing at all. I was thinking of a strat by Louis, but I don't think that was employed here. And now Ben makes it into Ice Palace.
Yeah, we're kind of already seeing, some of the consequences in this case of not having, in this case, sword beams. Normally, you would want to be able to use sword beams for anything that's involving Baris. We always want to be able to kill them as far away from possible so we don't end up getting slashed or electrocuted. But in this case, of course, not really too much of an option, so we're just going to have to resort to the Fire Rod instead. And of course, right, being down 2 hearts is actually, a little bit more consequential than being down 1 heart, just because we can actually end up picking up an extra heart. And so if we can actually still get beams for the conveyor belt room that Relkin just ended up passing, there's actually really nice beam slash damage boost strats where you can beam the Bari to kill and get the key and then damage boost yourself off the spike and then make a really nice clean dash to the left. But unfortunately, again, we unfortunately were not at full health. We did not have beams. Couldn't quite do this, as fast as possible.
The Bari was in a fairly good position for Relkin. Wow, both runners had to hit the switch. That's a bit surprising to see. And the last second bomb jump for relkin. A last slash, rather. Of course, we're in smaller increments than seconds.
Looks like I'm not sure if there's something in this case that may be going on with the restream. In this case, relkin is dropping down to cold stare as Ben is actually just entering the freezer room, dropping down and completely just ignoring the blue mail in the big chest. Not that we have the big key anyway. relkin starting his cold stare fight, and it looks like it's a single poke, really nicely done on relkin's side. Textbook cold stare NMG fight.
Very well done. Hopefully our video is back. And Benteezy is falling to cold stare.
Hopefully that's not quite the spoiler that Ben is, in this case, alluding to in chat. Looks like a very also almost textbook fight there on cold stare. Just kind of get a little bit nicked by the very last cold stare puff. But again, who needs Sankar? You know, we definitely had more than enough health to be able to tank down a hit. Everything's fine. We all believe in Ben. Everything's all good.
Not even worried.
Exactly, yeah. And honestly, like the amount of time difference between Ben and relkin's fight certainly wasn't that wasn't too big. The important part is that Ben did not die. Dying to cold stare would have been quite costly. Certainly very much worth the extra couple of seconds you can take in order to ensure your safety.
And it's off to Swamp Palace for relkin. And relkin had the opportunity to pick up other items that he would need to complete the game, but that's not how relkin does Swamp Palace. So here we go.
Yeah. All right. So this is kind of coming up to the segments where a lot of, in this case, can be, in this case, like runner's preference.
Right, so we have Benteezy on Death Mountain. We'll be picking up Ether here. So we'll see some divergence, and we'll see where they converge later.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it, right? And so looks like relkin is gonna opt to, as you mentioned, gonna skip his totally optional items that he doesn't need for Swamp Palace at the moment. The big advantage, of course, of relkin is that after Swamp Palace, he is going to be rewarded, thusly, with the hook shot, thereby ending all of his, in this case, spin speeds. We can just basically do hook speed for the rest of the game. Probably going to be easier a little bit on the execution, and that is certainly what relkin prefers. Of course, looks like Ben, though, on the other hand, he is willing in this case to opt to get his Ether Medallion up on Death Mountain, taking an extra spin speed in order to get up there quicker. But in this case, even if you can't, in this case, control the pretty difficult RNG that is the boulders and the dead rocks and all the damage, if you don't go into Swamp Palace with full health, not going to be the end of the world. You would really like it in this case for Meyer, and that's going to be kind of like the trade-off that, in this case, Ben is going to take over relkin.
Personally, I like beams for the first room of Swamp Palace. Benteezy won't have that luxury, but we can hope that no hovers or Phelps are missed in the first room.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be a bit faster, right, if you have beams. Kind of like the difference, though, between having beams for the first room in Swamp versus the second room, I guess, technically, in Meyer, is going to be quite significant. As relkin is kind of experiencing the swamp with a U as opposed to the swamp with an A. This is where, in this case, even though it is the second chronological crystal dungeon of the Dark World, where things don't really hurt as much as they maybe did in, let's say, Ice Palace. You have 3 or 4 enemies that just kind of, guard you and body you, and suddenly you're not only taking a bunch of damage, you're also losing a bit of time.
And Ben got the dash. So I totally agree. It's so easy to lose time in every room.
Relkin also,
Maybe I blinked, but it looked like... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Relkin was, it looked like he just very slightly hesitated, maybe didn't quite get the right alignment on the block, basically making his way over the left side.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. And that's just a common slip-up where a runner might switch between cardinal and diagonal, and the switch causes Link to have to restart the push.
Some of the more, in this case, like subtle movements, and I think just maybe this also comes from, you know, experience, being able to, just so many enemies, you know, they're kind of like running around on the screen or floating around that are somewhat, you know, their movement patterns are a bit more erratic. Definitely kudos in this case to like Relkin and Build the Ben to try and basically read like the enemy RNG, kind of like know in this case where they should be moving and dashing. So then they end up trying in this case not to get as hit or as hit as often. Sometimes, of course, you can't help it, just because, you know, if everything just crowding around the door for you, well, you would have to deal with it, but if you can help it and try and avoid some damage to save some time.
And I really like the way Benteezy hits the crystal switch to stand on the pegs and have iframes walking straight through.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes here.
No, yeah, no, that strat is actually so cool, and it's actually, you know, quite brilliant. You know, just because, again, you know, we never want to touch Baris with our sword unless it's beats. You know, so if we have to really try and, you know, why try and read his pattern that's especially, you know, very erratic and random, where we can actually just get iframes, you know, from the pegs and then just, you know, move right through him.
So in the restock room, Relkin goes for both bomb and arrow. Benteezy is at 0 bombs, and I expect we'll go for the same deal.
Yeah.
And Argus fight for Relkin. Going for the dash does not get the good start to the fight, so it'll be a 1 cycle.
Yeah, it looks like though, yeah, and good on Relkin also kind of recognize that it's just kind of probably easier to try and give up on the quick hooks and just, you know, start basically, you know, hooking and slashing so we can basically get through.
Yeah, his backup was well controlled and it was a fast 1 cycle basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he did opt to, in this case, do a slightly faster phase 2, 2 fire rod shots and a spin. And you certainly see, you know, other runners as well, just basically taking, you know, the tried and true 2 spin, a little bit slower, but certainly very, very much consistent. You know, sometimes maybe it only takes 1 or 2 times where you kind of miss your fire rod shots, and then you said, nope, I'm just gonna, you know, fall back basically to the old 2 spin method.
Yep, both pots for Ben. So, Phelps way for Ben. And easy swimming onto Argus.
Yeah, let's see in this case how Ben kind of tackles his Argus fight. Has a much smoother start than over Relkin. Wow, very nice phase 1. Very cleanly done.
Excellent. 0 cycle. Fast fire rods. Way to go, Ben. Alright, Death Mountain for Relkin. It's time to get that Ether Medallion because we can't get into the next dungeon without it.
Yeah, looks like though Relkin kind of already down a heart, but otherwise safely makes his way up to Death Mountain, and yeah, he's going to basically, you know, take his Ether Medallion. In this case, we already saw the demonstration of using a hook speed instead of spin speed going up. Oh no, is he gonna make it through? Okay. Sometimes, even when you try and slash the dead rock, you want to slash him like away from the, you know, the entryway, and sometimes wherever he lands, it doesn't have to always be so friendly.
Yeah. Katie turned to stone and left barely away to the left or right.
Alright, so Relkin also picking up his Ice Rod. Certainly still not going to be used until Turtle Rock, but this is going to be another potential opportunity for him to maybe kill a crab or something, get a heart somewhere. Not quite the most anxiety-inducing situation. Certainly can be, though.
And goes for one of the harder quick warps in the game and gets it, the swamp exit.
Mm-hmm. Alright, looks like though, at least Benteezy is opting to do his Ice Rod. Looks like it's going to be right before Turtle Rock, and so to some extent, looks like we're kind of synced up. Both runners, of course, are going into Mire at this point. Major difference, of course, being that Ben does have Sword Beams versus Relkin, so chances are he's going to take a little bit of time, or he's going to gain a little bit of time over Relkin if he can do, in this case, Mire 2 pretty quickly. Well, I should be able to see probably an almost side-by-side difference in strats here.
Right, and Ben is able to have beams. Really well done.
Really well.
Oh no, we missed it.
Oh no, we did miss it. I thought it actually hit the Wisdom too.
Okay, so Relkin had to walk down to slash a Popo, but otherwise got a single cycle Wizrobe.
Yeah, Ben just a little bit ahead of Relkin in this particular dungeon. We are going to have to, in this case, go all the way to the, well, to get the big key, which of course is locked by 4 torches and a fairly long 17-second cutscene.
Benteezy's interaction with the rail on the meetup room was pretty funky. He had a hard time getting past the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably one of those early pumps where pumping can
interesting.
Mess up your movement if you go too early. But I could have misinterpreted that.
Yeah, not oftentimes you get a chance to see something that is like this close. You know, Benteezy is on the tail end of the cutscene, while Relkin is just kind of entering in. And of course, right, it certainly does look super close, and it actually is fairly close race. It just happens to be still Relkin did in fact do all of his shopping. He does in fact have the Ice Rod in his possession, whereas Ben still needs to go get it. But again, this is we're coming up slightly after the hour mark. Endgame dungeons are very dangerous. They hurt a lot. Do not let, in this case, the extra, like row of hearts, where we're all kind of like on 11 and 12, fool you, because enemies here do basically 3 to 4 hearts hit. So you can really lose your life here quite quickly. And looks like actually Ben tried to do the spark gamble, basically damage himself forward for the spike. Looks like Relkin didn't even want to, in this case, take a stab at it.
Right, went for a safer strat.
Mm-hmm.
Benteezy got struck by a Beamos beam, which was surprising, but it did not cause any extra damage. And goes for a fast Wizrobe kill.
Wow, yeah. Not often do you get to see,
nice.
Yeah, not often do you get to see, in this case, runners trying to basically, kill the Wizrobe. Typically, oh, you know what? Yeah, I was gonna say, typically you would kind of also get, the heart as backup, just because it is a little bit lower. You don't really see people, I think, hooking either. Just because Wizrobes do 4 hearts of damage if you don't hook low enough, and so and you can't get out of the hookshot animation once you start it, and so it's almost kind of like watching like a I'm gonna get hit, it's a train wreck, and I cannot get out of it type of situation.
Right, we've got spooky action glitch. First 2 rooms go quite well for Ben, and the third one is done as well. Very well done. Going with the dash strat. Relkin also goes with the dash strat. A little bit different. And, yeah. Okay, we've got
oh no,
mishap on Ben's side at Vitria. So we're down to 1 heart. Oh no.
Oh no. That is really difficult to kind of read and maneuver. The first hit that Ben ended up taking was actually, I think it kind of just threw him off his rhythm. That is actually, quite unfortunate. Right. And it's kind of we actually what Ben was trying to do in this case, kind of demonstrated on Relkin's side was that so we did see on Ben's side that those eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage, something that you really want to avoid. So in order to try and kill them quickly, he was trying to do a damage boost off of the goo. That was surrounding, which only does 1 heart of damage, but also does grant you some iframes, so that you can actually, take a use iframe, get right in the middle of all of the eyeballs while taking any damage, and then basically, use your tempered spins. And unfortunately, Ben just kind of ended up getting, kind of nicked by one of the first eyeballs, so he wasn't able to, kind of get those iframes going.
So it's a difficult
loss.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a difficult death because of all the time loss. It's going to cost 2 or 3 minutes. So it's going to be Relkin in the lead with a major advantage at this point.
Mm-hmm. But I guess for what it's worth, taking a death to Vitreous, which of course, by the way, many people have done, it's not necessarily an uncommon position, is that at least like going in, we didn't actually have to spend any resources, right? Losing, in this case, a fight to the phase 1 of Vitreous means that basically, like our bombs and arrows and stuff are still pretty much intact. Would have actually been, I think, slightly, more unfortunate if we basically died to phase 2 for whatever reason, then we have to, in this case, farm a couple more resources.
Right, Ben, I saw go for the bunny beam arrow pot. So here we go, round 2, Benteezy versus Vitreous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this time definitely getting hit by the surrounding goo first. It looks like a little bit of extra cleanup, so just quite missing that 0 cycle. But otherwise, we're good to go. Meanwhile, though, Relkin has already made his way up to Turtle Rock. Is this a super free quick warp? It is.
It's free.
Man, it is absolutely free. I don't know what people are talking about. It is actually not free, by the way. Especially with hook speed or super speed, if you can, it's much easier to kind of like walk onto the right position as opposed to basically controlling that super speed and landing on the right position.
And Relkin enters Turtle Rock. He's 3 hearts down, and that I believe is all due to dead rocks, which are so punishing on the screens leading up to this dungeon.
Yeah.
One thing this game it never ceases to surprise me, and Relkin was able to stun and pull himself with 1 single hook shot just before Waffle House. So that was a nice thing to pull off.
Yeah, it looks like hopefully Benteezy is going to make his way up the mountain. Let's see in this case how he decides to deal with the, of course, infamous Waffle House. Oh, that's right. No. Ben's still, he remembers what he's doing. He still needs the ice rod in this case before Turtle Rock. That's right. So in this case, he's definitely good on him to remember that he still needs it. Last bomb possible. Unfortunately, does take a hit. Not probably going to be too big of a deal from the bomb aftermath.
Relkin approaching chain chomps. Relkin's watched his health and mirrored out of the spike room, the roller room. Has to take a safe upper block strat and makes it out safely.
Yeah, he was a little bit close for comfort there on the right chomp, because I think his iframes, it looked like at least they ran out, but Relkin at least had some distance.
Very nice Waffle House drive-through for Benteezy.
Yeah, that was really cleanly done.
And Pokies. Relkin sees a heart. We're still waiting for a fairy. Would be nice to get that in the next room. Pokies 2.
Yeah, and right, and this is kind of like what all of the planning, all the way back, 45 minutes ago in Aga Tower, where both, Ben and Relkin were trying to dash kill, so the blue guards in the second room, so then, they wouldn't advance the prize packs. Also because, as Relkin basically got the heart, as you mentioned, Chucks, earlier, he's looking for that fairy, which is the next one in the prize pack. So if we didn't end up dash killing them, potentially we could have actually gotten the heart, or maybe even the fairy earlier.
There's the fairy.
Not quite the best RNG from Pokies. They kind of moved away from him, but Relkin was at least still able to handle it. Was also pretty fortunate in order to get the big magic as well. And so everything after this, I think Relkin's just going to try to avoid.
And Ben, meanwhile, enters Turtle Rock, also with a quick warp. It looked like a different strat. It appeared to be the Yoho quick warp, as I know it.
Oh, interesting. Ben also was very brave in slashing the Bari while he was on the conveyor belt. Like, Baris have a tendency to know exactly when you slash, so then that's when they start, shocking you. But somehow Ben was able to beat him to the shock. And I guess in this case, if you haven't experienced this before, if you end up getting shocked while you're on the conveyor belt, you end up falling, and then you have to kind of take the slower animation to go all the way back to the beginning of the screen, and then basically trying again.
Nice roller room from Benteezy, getting the optimal dash. Not optimal exactly, but the strat that's not a mirror out.
yeah, and that's part of the reason why people are trying to save your fairy, right? So just because in this case you can take the hit that's 3 hearts from the roller, and then basically you're gonna get a refill here. No drop so far for Benteezy. But Relkin trying to get the fast beetle strat on Laser Bridge. Unfortunately, I guess what is the first law of momentum? Think something in motion stays in motion or something. It was equal momentum on both sides for the beetle in this case, and Relkin kind of get knocked off simultaneously.
Oh yeah, right. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Reaction. That's right. Yes. Thank you, Chucks.
Oh no, Benteezy gets bunny beamed.
That was the bunny beam, unfortunately. Oh my gosh, this is not a... Oh, how did...
Yes, we do get the fairy, and
amazing.
The Pokey doesn't escape to the top section. Where we caught it at the middle. Relkin, nice fight on Trinex.
I don't know how Benteezy survived that situation when there were like 5 to 7 things all going after him, but he did very well. So
yeah, and so Benteezy quickly, each room it's like a fresh start, right? So Benteezy goes for the downwards beam strat, exiting Pokey's 1. Let's see how Pokey's 2 goes. Oh no, we missed the spin somehow. Not quite sure what affected that. So Pokey's 2 gets slightly out of hand, unfortunately. But he's able to squeeze through the next roller.
Yeah, and I think with this much health, Ben should be okay. It's dying to try, and that certainly has happened before, and hopefully he's still going to be okay. Just in terms of he can probably take one errant hit from Trinex. Although, meanwhile, though, speaking of Trinex, Relkin is completely finished with our 7th crystal and the boss.
Yeah, on to Gans Tower, one of the most fun segments of the run, and it'll be a basement section full of maneuvering and puzzling navigation, followed by an upper section of difficult combat and more difficult maneuvering.
Everyone's definition of fun is different.
It is at least challenging.
Mm-hmm. It's fun in a challenging way. Yes. Unfortunately, it looks like Ben actually didn't quite get himself on the grid to get the key dash. A little bit unfortunate, but just a very minor setback. Meanwhile, though, Relkin already on the... Yeah.
I don't know what affected that key dash. It looked more like an errant input, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, looks like Ben's going to do some backdoor strats here on Trinex. I think very similar to what relkin does. Was successfully able to count to 4 before switching over and landing his last Ice Rod shot before switching over to the Fire Rod. Looks very textbook NMG here. Meanwhile, though, relkin already very quickly making his way over to Ice Armos, where the big key is. Looks like he actually has just enough arrows. Oh no, unfortunately not quite getting the warp skip in this case, but you know what? He's like, I guess I'm here, so I'll just go get the arrows.
Consolation prize arrows.
Yeah. So wow. Look at it. And he's got a nice drop. Yeah, okay, alright, so forget the second chest and in behind Ice Armos. We're just gonna go get the big key and leave.
Nice pit push for relkin for some reason.
I think in his last run, I want to say that he actually ended up getting the chest, but maybe I don't know if that's just part of his like strat that he's kind of used to, I guess, by now.
And in this case, we don't need the arrows at all. He has 11 coming out of Armos.
Yeah, very uncommonly seen. Yeah, and I guess, so oftentimes, arrows are especially going to be pretty important. They're always important, through the entire game. Probably most important in the end game. And of course, for those of you who, have seen what probably Ben is also going to do, maybe depending on what happens also for his basement, he's going to get the upper left-hand chest after the after the big key, which it does have 10 arrows. And I guess for what it's worth, the other one contains 3 bombs.
Thank you, DoomTap, for the shout-out command for runners and commentators. Definitely follow these runners who grind this game. It's fun to watch runs. It's fun to watch practice. And these runners are constantly improving. It's quite amazing to see. Yeah,
and especially, relkin, for example, got a really nice Ganon Ball Z there, basically able to dash through without getting hurt. And, we're kind of basically showcasing, kind of like the result of all their practices, right? These guys are, very, very, again, 120, low 125 runner, a 124 runner on Benteezy's side, very, very knowledgeable about the game, and they're also, just very friendly and helpful, right? You want to learn more strats, see how things are done, I'm sure they're very, very happy to, kind of show off what they've been doing.
Okay. I might have missed the first part of the room, but it looked like a spike skip from Benteezy, which is a very difficult strat.
That. Yeah, it's all these little things, right? They save. The problem with all of these strats is that when they save time, they take less time to do, right? So then it's like you literally blink and you miss it on these types of things.
Yeah. So, Gauntlet's come and gone. Lamo 2 is down. relkin is really speeding through the upper Gans Tower.
Yeah, looks like though. So Ben was able to successfully skip over the warp. He does have quite enough arrows in this case for Ice Armos, but also very nice and fast strat there on Ben's side. Not only did he not take any damage, he was able to get the 10 arrows from the chest. And of course, more importantly, he did not get hit by the anti-fairy, which of course not only does health damage, but also magic damage as well. And we really want to be able to have a full magic bar when we start climbing.
Yeah, so both runners did not have to get the arrows behind the big key.
Yeah, nice. Just they don't need to pad their collection rate at this point.
Right.
Yeah, and it kind of also, as Ben and relkin kind of like demonstrated, you do only need 8 arrows, for these mimics, especially if you do them quickly. But it certainly doesn't hurt in order to have a couple of extra arrows to use for the gauntlet, just so you can get some projectiles.
Really well done mimics for Benteezy.
Yeah, I mean, and again, these guys are super accomplished, super well practiced. I mean, every single room they do has been just hours and so many times in the practice hack, and it looks really cool. It is actually quite difficult, and does take a lot of good practice.
All right, Aghanim 2 for Relkin. One of the most challenging bosses and requires thinking on your feet. So we're hoping for 2 or 3 cycles optimally. It looks like Relkin was able to save a 3 cycle with a triple at the end.
Yeah, no, that actually looked really, really nicely done. Right, and so, just like, Aghanim 1, Aghanim 2 can still give you blue balls, and so even if you get, like, the exact, most friendliest pattern, in this case, you only need 6 shots in order to kill the real Aghanim, and doesn't always have to be necessarily all energy balls, could actually be some blue balls, so you're not even necessarily guaranteed to have a 2 cycle, so more often than not, if you can especially salvage a 3 cycle like that, you're gonna be pretty happy.
All right, Relkin dropping into the Ganon Arena. We're hoping for a single cycle for each round or each phase onto
Welcome looks
phase
like
2.
actually, yeah, he got some pretty, friendly positioning here. Also gotten, I think, a spin off of the trident. Relkin, oh my gosh, we're just gonna take a couple hits here, on the fire bats.
That's okay. We didn't need those hearts.
Yeah, it's just weighing us down at this point. Yeah, right. Already on to phase 3. Actually, it looks like fairly friendly in as well in terms of number of warps. Does get a blue Ganon. Relkin looks like he is still going to opt to do the fire rod again. Torch Clish. Wow, quite close there. But it's the result that stands. He does get Torch Glitch, which is going to allow him in this case to have enough time to get in these triples.
Yeah, Relkin went for probably a double tap to make sure that the torch is nailed and gets it with the second shot.
Alright, Moldum 2 down for Benteezy. He is also going to head on to Aghanim 2. So of course, we're gonna see, in this case, not only what patterns he does. Oh, that was it looks like a faster bumper skip. Normally kind of like, you see a lot of people trying to like maneuver themselves to the bottom of the screen, and they kind of dash up between them, but Ben just kind of moved on top. But speaking of, Relkin looks like he has his sword up. He is finished. Ganon dashing into the Triforce room. Looks like we have finished with a first place race between himself and Ben with a 1:26:30. GG's, Relkin. Well, 1:26:33 according to the official race time room.
GG, Relkin.
Mm-hmm. Oh no! Oh, Ben taking on Aga. These patterns are not very friendly.
And Aghanim 2 is down for Benteezy.
Well, do you know what Ben was trying to do?
Maybe a hook push?
Yeah, I guess he was hooking and something.
I'm not quite sure, but welcome, Relkin. Congrats on the win.
Oh, hey, Relkin. Didn't even notice you. GG's.
Hey guys, thanks for the GG's.
And Rough, Rough go with the rupee route.
That was okay. So I don't think I've ever had the guard. Don't think I ever had that guard show up there. So I definitely did not know what to do at that moment. And then I just I was just hoping for that spin outside of the castle gate or like inside of the castle gate to hit both guys. But then that guy took his sweet time aggroing, and then he's like came in for the coming in for the booty, and therefore I just like lost my mind there and pulled the tree anyway when I wasn't supposed to.
I guess, do you remember if you took a hit in Castle Tower at all?
Yeah, I think
So I couldn't remember because I know you were down 1 heart going into Castle Tower, and then you end up picking up a heart in Dark Maze, and then it looked like you had full health the entire way through. And the reason why I was asking was because you land on the pyramid with full health, and then I was wondering if you want to do like the pyramid pulls for some extra rupees as opposed to Saha ones. But if you took damage, it does not matter.
Honestly, I would not have thought to do that because I just was I lost my entire mind there. I've never had that kind of thing. I was so flustered when that happened.
Okay, that
definitely would not have crossed my mind. I was just like, okay, I guess we're doing Saha rupees.
I would not have thought of it either if I were you, but I noticed in the Dark Maze you're extra careful beaming enemies out of your way, so I thought that was your plan.
Nope. I just was super annoyed with the game at that point.
I hear ya. And GG's Benteezy.
Yeah, yo Ben, GG's.
Hello. Thank you.
Hey, man.
Yo, GG's rocking.
GG's, dude. Sorry about Viddy. Man, that's...
Yeah,
that's tough. How were you feeling about
with hammer jump? But yeah. I'm 0 for 2 in hammer jump so far in this league. And 0 for 2 in finishing without a death. The race was fun. I liked it. Relkin was playing super good. I was trying really hard to catch up in the mid game, but he just wasn't giving me any. I had a really good Thieves and a really good Skull and a really good Swamp, and he was just still like the same amount ahead the whole time. So it was pretty fun trying to catch up.
Your mom.
Yeah, I was taking notes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think I got a little demoralized after the 7 blue balls into the failed hammer jump. I was like, okay, I guess this game just doesn't want me to play. And I just kept getting nickel and dimed everywhere by all the enemy RNGs. I felt like I was playing really well. But
yeah, definitely. Like the way I saw your gameplay, it was like every new screen was a fresh start for you, and you would just pull off optimal strats optimally.
Yeah, I tried not to tilt. I tried really hard not to tilt, even after the Viddy death. But I think around Landmo 2, I realized that he wasn't having any like big mistakes, so I couldn't catch up. So I kind of like just gave up at the end. I was just trying to go through the motions. And then of course I got Death Frame Roll and Torch Glitch where your Fire Rod doesn't actually come out because it eats the input, and I just stopped playing. I was like, okay, well that's enough for me.
Fair enough. And how about any other highlights for you, Relkin?
I guess I could say I was pleasantly surprised to see that I was ahead coming out of Skull, because I actually did not pull up the restream until after I beat Moth, and I was like, okay, let's see how far behind I am. But then I saw Ben was in the back, entering the back as I was entering Moth or whatever. I was like, wait, what? And so
I think you were ahead the whole time because I had like a 7 or 8 cycle Landmo in Desert. Like I had I had like a 1740 coming out of Desert or something. And
wow. Dang. We both had bad Landmos then, so.
Yeah, I think like, we were actually kind of wondering if you guys were watching the restream during the Light World, because like it was actually surprisingly very even. So you both had, I think it was 6 cycle for both for Landmos too, but then also you guys had a really good Moldorm fight each, like very, very short fights, like for both of you. And I was like, I wonder if they're watching because they're pretty synced, but it actually doesn't sound like you guys were. So
yeah, in Aga Tower, I was behind like visually, but you only had 50 rupees. So I was like, I'm probably slightly ahead here. And then Aga was like, no, you're not. Go away. I was like, oh, okay, thanks, Aga. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I had never really seen the hybrid bomb jump from you, Relkin. So how do you do that often?
Yeah, that's the strat I use for the Fire Rod. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just got fed up with sometimes how finicky it seemed trying to do the early bomb jump, and so I saw TGH employ that strat at the specifically I saw him use it at the GDQ relay race where it's like Z1, Z2, and Z3. And I saw him use that strat.
Okay.
I was like, oh, you know what? That's faster than the slow strat. Why don't I just do that?
Right. I can't believe I didn't catch that. Yeah. All right. Well, way to demonstrate that again for us. Thank you.
You're welcome, I guess.
Hope you guys enjoyed the race at least.
It was quite good, for sure. I mean,
I
you showed off a lot of like little like cool I think Chex mentioned that you did like a diagonal boom dash, right, in Hera Basement. Very difficult to execute.
Somebody was asking about that in the chat. I think if you're standing on the correct pixel when you do the diagonal boom, the boom doesn't hit the switch on the way there. It hits the switch on the way back. So the reason it's better than the straight down one is because if you realize that you're messing up any of the dash, like you move down or you're dashing in the wrong direction, whatever the case is, you just cancel by walking upward. And then on the way back, the boomerang doesn't hit the switch. So you don't lose those frames from accidentally hitting the switch, even though you didn't get the dash.
Okay, that makes sense now. I didn't understand before, but the way you explained it helps.
Yeah, so ever since Josh told me that, I just do that strat, because I'd rather use the boomerang in the lobby, and the vertical one, like, if you mess it up, then you hit the switch and you actually lose time on an auto-scroller, which is probably some of the most embarrassing things you can do in a speedrun. So, try to avoid that as much as possible. Yeah, overall, the run was really fun. I think, like I said, I was really happy with my skull. I was really happy with my swamp. I think that was tied for my second best swamp ever, despite getting nickel and dimed on Death Mountain by the boulder. Every single time I got on Death Mountain today, I got hit by boulders. Like, every single time. They refused to let me through in one piece. And I think Meyer was going really, really well until Vitreous. I think I had a chance until I died. Yeah, I played really well for most of that endgame.
No,
but it is what it
definitely
is.
did. I was actually curious. So do you normally skip Sankart, like even when you do your runs, or is it more just like a tournament thing, or you just want to save the time?
The way I look at Sankart is there's only two places in the entire game where it helps you. One of them is Helmasaur, which I think is a very valid reason to pick up Sankart, especially if like the person doesn't employ the spin speed strat. And then the second one is Hera, because it's one extra enemy that can nickel and dime you in Hera. But the way I approach the game is I'm gonna get bad RNG regardless. So if I get enough bad RNG in Hera to die, I would have gotten an extra bad RNG anyway and died with the Sankart. And I don't feel like I need it for Helmasaur, so I just skip it always.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's definitely nice to have that safety net, but a lot of the things in the game, like, because of how optimized the NMG route is, a lot of the time that extra heart, like, doesn't matter once you're doing everything at, like, a high enough level. For instance, like, Meyer, like, you take the damage walking through the spikes, and you have 7 hearts left over. But if you have Sankar, you have 8 hearts left over. But you only need 5 to do Vitreous. So you already have those extra, like, 2 hearts of leeway to get hit by a random anti-fairy or spike or whatever. Yeah, and in Turtle Rock, if you're doing everything right, you're, like, full health the whole time. And even if you're not doing everything right or you don't get your fairy, you're still somewhere in the 7 to 8 heart range. So you're not going to die to a random pokey or something, or a Trinex hit for some reason. So I find it hard to justify the Sankart. And I'm also going to say that Doomtap is a liar. He said if there was 3 Sankarts, he would pick them all up. And I'm like, there's no way you're picking up 10 seconds worth of Sankarts. You're not doing that. Stop lying.
No, you definitely demonstrated that you did not need Sankart. I mean, all the even like the the Victory Dust was still unfortunate, right? But it wouldn't have helped you, right? So
yeah, like I would have had 4 hearts instead of 3, and I still wouldn't have been able to like fresh damage boost through and spin them all. So I still had to manage. I think what happened to me at Vitreous was that I have played probably more complete rando runs than complete NMG runs in like the last month. And so as a result, when I get to Vitreous, it's usually in a rando setting. And if something like that happens to me at Vitreous, I'll just go to the right, climb up into the goop on the pixel that it doesn't hurt you, and I'll just start shooting arrows to the left. And I think what happened to me this run was I got hit, and my immediate instinct was to just start pathing in that direction. And I think you can kind of see it if you rewatch it. Like I kind of like just cut across the middle, and then I started slashing eyeballs, and then the ones from the left came and started killing me. And yeah, it was because halfway across the puddle, I was like, wait, I can't go stand in that corner and shoot arrows. I actually have to slash these eyeballs. And I wound up slashing them from a really unsafe position instead of approaching the fight in a more safe manner. So at the end of the day, it's all Rando's fault.
That's all I can say. 100% fair.
I gotta go do my true pot hunt async qualifier. That's gonna be
are you actually doing that?
That's gonna be fun.
Quite the change of pace. But I mean, again, like it was really cool watching. You know, you and Relkin race. It was certainly quite the race here. Really nice display of execution on both your sides. So I'm really looking forward to week 3 between you guys. It looks like no known matchups yet, but any thoughts? I guess.
Wait, week 3 between us. Are we facing each other?
No, not between you. Each between your individual races. Okay.
I haven't looked at the bracket at all, so I don't even know who I could potentially be facing. Let me go take a quick peek.
Also, it might be still pretty early. Like, I think you're probably in like the first or second Dark World division.
Well, it's Swiss, right? So yeah. Mm-hmm. I should be fighting somebody who's 0-2 basically, because there should be people. Everyone that was in this round from the previous round, like that lost, paired against each other, I assume. So because that's the way Swiss usually works. So all the losses from last round paired against each other. So there has to be 4 0-2 people. So I'm going to be against one of those people. I just got to figure out who it is. Oh, I hope it's Lanks, because he's playing Blaine. I don't think he's going to beat Blaine. I hope it's Lanks. That's what I want to play.
Wednesday night should actually be quite a big night. I think we've got Chex versus Fox, and we've got Blaine versus Lanks. Ooh. Yeah, so... and I think actually what's gonna happen, we're gonna try and do like a 4-person restream, just because like they're both playing at the same time. So hopefully...
that is the plan on our end. I would hope it's all right with you, with all of you.
I mean, if we can make it happen, we're gonna make it happen. So
I have something I want to tell you guys.
What's happening?
I'm tired of this Eastern Arrows propaganda that's being spread around about how Eastern Arrows don't save time. So I'm gonna make like a 2-minute YouTube video explaining to you guys why y'all are all wrong and that Eastern Arrows actually save a second. That's coming soon. Because I'm tired of this propaganda. I can't believe there's even a Helposaur command about it. Written by Josh, the guy that helped me prove that it was false. He helped me route it out. I can't believe he would do this to me. I feel so betrayed. Don't let me see your face in here, Josh RT. You're gonna see what happens to you.
Dude, who knew 5 arrows would really trigger you this hard?
It's just funny to me that so many people are so adamant that it's not worth. It's like, I don't want to go get them. I don't. And I actually got 12.5% at this run, Relkin. So you got ahead of me at Eastern because I had to go back for the arrows. Double readies.
I mean, you reap what you sow, and I'm not going to say anything else.
I'm okay with it. Can we do Alposaur's in this chat, right? Blue ball.
Should be, yeah.
Percent? Yeah, look at that. 7.03%. Who would have thought I would have got that too?
Hey, Did I get 7 my last race? Yeah, I got 7 last race and 4 this race. I don't know.
Just saying. Maybe the numbers just sometimes are not in your favor. It's just the way the cookie crumbles.
All right, are you ready for true pot hunt in that case?
Yeah.
I'm actually don't remind me.
Was it like there's like some pot mode in this tournament? It's like avian art, and it's a 213 out of 420 like Triforce hunt. true pot hunt or whatever.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's I have to go do the async qualifier for that.
Oh god, have fun. Yeah, it's a doozy.
But
not saying I've played it, but I'm just saying that kind of mode is a doozy.
I just gotta give Chex a friendly reminder that he's one of my favorite humans on this planet. Because he always forgets. Chex, thank you for commentating my race.
Thanks, Benteezy.
Chex is a great human.
Yes.
He's a Chex human, not great. No, you know what, I'll give that to him. Oh, he's great.
Chex, I hope AGDQ is down here, and you come hang out again.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah. Chex or Ben, are you thinking about going to SGL? Because that would be cool.
I haven't heard anything about it. I don't normally go, but I can be convinced. I don't know what the... I assume it's already out and all the info and stuff, right? Because isn't it usually in the fall?
I guess I'll have to send you a Discord invite.
Alright, sounds good. Alright, thanks again, guys. I'm gonna go play Final Fantasy 14. Because that's all I've been doing, and that's why I was not practiced up for this race.
Go to the twinning for me and listen to a long fall and jam out to it.
Will do. I don't know where that is, but will do. I just started playing like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you just started playing, gotcha.
Trying to route the Stalfos arrow drop into Eastern.
I'm looking forward to the YouTube video, Ben. Well, thank you both for racing. It was great. And thank you, Clear Mouse, for joining on commentary. Very fun, as always.
Always a blast. Always a blast. Looking forward to the next time. Really glad we got to do this. Thanks, relkin. Thanks, Ben. It was a really great race. Regardless, hopefully, you guys feel the same way. And yeah, have a great night.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'd rather this goes both ways. If I die or my opponent dies, I'd rather have us, be able to play our best and make it through without any scars. But that can't always happen, and it's just the nature of racing, the vanilla category. Game's hard. No one can deny. So, yeah. Thanks again, ZSR, and thanks Chex and Mouse for doing some commentary. Appreciate you guys.
Alright, guys. Talk to y'all later. Bye. Hang out.
See you then.
All right, before we head on out, mention the 4-way race tomorrow night. Have a couple other races on the schedule at the moment that we're going to try to put on the air tomorrow. 4 p.m. Eastern, Bamboo Shadow versus Fricker. And 5 p.m. Eastern, Yoho versus Airy. Channels have not yet been assigned for that, but we're going to try to have both of those on the air. There is plenty else coming up on ZSR tomorrow. Majora's Mask Rando tourney qualifier, several Zelda 2 Rando tourney matches. Please keep an eye on our schedule. If typing is hard, see if there's anything of interest for you. A big shout out to our comms tonight, Chex and Clear Mouse, for letting me sit here and not pay attention for 2 hours. Can't thank you two enough for that. Gonna head on over to the main channel right now, where we've got Zelda 2 Rando Swiss tourney race on. So gonna go ahead and enjoy that. Any final thoughts before we head on out for the night?
I just want to say thank you again so much, Cubs. You are a extremely talented restreamer. Again, you telling us we don't have to worry about you for 2 hours. We don't have to basically worry about anything when you're here.
My talent was sitting here and doing nothing for 2 hours, so I'll take that.
And thanks again, Chex. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
So thank you everybody for being with us here tonight. Everybody stay safe out there.
And stay cool.
In more ways than one, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Till next time, all, have a good night. We will see you back here soon.